Hello everyone, I'm Mike.
And I'm Joe.
We are with Tag, The Art of Games, and this is our extensive review of Titanfall for Xbox One and PC.
And today we're playing on the Xbox One with the AverMedia Live Game Reportable as our capture device. And we're going to be covering a lot of stuff with the game today, which is the campaign, the gameplay as a pilot in Titan, the graphics, sound, leveling up, the customization with burn cards, PC versus Xbox, and then our final verdict.
Alright, so to keep in mind when we give our opinion on this game, we're going to do it from my perspective as Mike as a gamer and then as Joe as a gamer. So let's get started with the first topic, which is the campaign. So what are some of the notes that you've noticed about the campaign, Joe?
I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus amongst most gamers in the community that played Titanfall, that the campaign is kind of an unfinished product, or rather a failed experiment. Kind of elaborate to everyone why that is.
Well, there was really no story at all. Really, all the campaign was, to me, was a couple of monologues in the beginning when you start to play, and then in the end saying, oh no, we lost, retreat back to the base.
Yeah, it was one of those games where it really didn't matter what your actions were in the campaign. It was just going to be exactly whatever has been scripted. So even if your team either wins or loses, since the campaign is set in a multiplayer match setting, it doesn't really matter if you win the match or lose. It's still going to have the same outcome. And another big problem is that you can't choose which campaign level to actually participate in. Once you start a campaign, it'll just jump you into one of the missions, one of 9 missions, either as the IMC, which is the kind of compared to the Star Wars Republic versus the militia, or the Star Wars rebels, if you will. It's the same type of science fiction trope right there. So moving on to our next topic for gameplay, however, I think this is where the game shines the most.
The gameplay was actually great in this game. I really loved it as a pilot, and then obviously as a Titan, because that's the main thing in the game. It's called Titanfall. So
Yeah, I agree. Where within the gameplay, I mean, you can see how fluid this game is. There's so much to do in it. Right here, you can see me. I'm hacking a turret, which I can bring that back to my side, which will shoot at enemy NPCs or enemy Titans or enemy pilots. And you see there's so many levels of tactics that you can use in this game. It's all about that vertical combat. I mean, you're using all levels. It's not a single playing field, unlike most FPS shooters. I mean, give us your 2 cents on what you think about that.
Well, I'm going to say, just for the gameplay in general, one of the main things that I absolutely loved about it was just wall running. Just because you can't really do that in a lot of games right now.
Show that off here.
And yeah, there he goes, wall running. And then you could like double jump with the 2 and go onto other walls.
So yeah, you can really bring up some style.
Yeah, and it's pretty unique in this game, mainly, just because they kind of perfected it with this.
Yeah, it's definitely one of their signature aspects. It's like with any other FPS, they have a signature feel for it. So I mean, Battlefield for me, I mean, my signature feel for that game is playing at range, and the vehicular warfare with Halo, kind of having the different power-ups and having more of a kind of feeling like you're a super soldier in there. And this has its own unique feeling, as well as the unique standard pilot. So I think this game will be compared in many respects to gameplay, saying, oh, this game is like Titanfall. It's like it plays like Titanfall. I mean, it has its own unique
Or it's like
perspective.
futuristic Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I mean, many will compare it to that because it is made by the same creators who originated the Call of Duty gameplay. But they fixed a lot of the boring aspects, in my mind, about Call of Duty, where it's just kind of either super repetitive and or it's just the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Well, we'll get there later on my thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Where I feel like when you're playing the game, there's so many ways you can tackle a level, since you have that vertical gameplay where you don't necessarily have, again, that single playing field. I'm going to hack this guy here, so you can hack a bunch of things in the game, and there's so many things to do. But let's see, what's our next topic here?
Alright, so graphics. Alright, the graphics in this game were decent, but I mean they could have done a lot better. Like, go ahead and look at a wall or something. It's kind of basic. Nothing you'd really expect from a next generation game.
I mean, you can definitely see. I mean, it's totally pixelated.
Yeah, it's pretty much pixels in that wall. So that's not the best. But then if you look at like some of the faces in the game, or look at some of the players, or even the Titans actually, they did pretty good with that. But like some of the basic things was just not even. They didn't even try.
Yeah,
with
I think they do well or decent with the polygon count within the character models and the world environment. However, it is really lacking in the texture bracket.
Yeah.
But mainly that's because of performance issues with this generation. I mean, we would expect, at least what I would expect from a next gen title is something like Battlefield 4 or Metro Last Light, something like that. However, in a game where there's so much going on, you just possibly cannot fit all of that all in one game in a multiplayer match with servers and 16 other people. It's just nearly impossible with current specs of technology.
Yeah. So, what did you think about sound in the game? I really loved it.
Yeah, the sound was one of my favorite pieces of the game, where if you got the PC version, it's actually around like a 52 gig download, and that's largely in part due to increased size of uncompressed audio, and that you really hear that within the game. And if you take a listen, even within this gameplay, you can hear the stomping of the Titan, the bullets ricocheting off, the different moves. Everything has its own unique sound, and it doesn't sound repetitive or cheap, which is extremely important.
It's all very good audio too. Like, I always compare it to this game, but in Halo 4, I absolutely love Halo games. I've grown up since I was like 5 or 6 playing them, but in Halo 4, there's so many parts where it's just very compressed audio, and it makes it sound very cheap. But in this game, you do not get any of that.
Yeah, I like some of the other signature sounds too in the game. Like when you're dropping the Titan, when the Titan's falling from the sky, you really hear the effect of it blowing past the speed of sound, and as it hits, it has that signature thud sound, that thumping sound. And then also when your Titan is in danger, when you hear that like beep beep sound, you're like, oh man, oh shit. There's multiple Titans engaging or something like that.
And there's also like as a burn card in the game, there is one where you can become a Spectre, and I thought it was really cool with that because you could hear your own footsteps like sounding like a robot. You're landing down onto the ground, and that's just one amazing thing that they did with the audio.
Mm-hmm. So getting into the leveling up. I know that Joe is not really particularly a fan of how this game levels you up in player progression. So explain to us why you think that's flawed in that sense.
Alright, so right now I already prestige to a Generation 2, however, I don't know what they call it in this game.
So yeah, once prestige is kind of like in Call of Duty where you reach a certain level cap and then you reset your stats.
Yeah.
And they call it, what do they call it?
I don't really know what they call it in this one. It's something close to that.
Generation,
it's like
something like that.
regeneration.
Yeah.
So I'm a Generation 2, and I just did that today. And I think I'm already a level 10 or 12.
Yeah, you're level 12.
Yeah, we're in this place. But, yeah, so I'm a level 12, and it's really easy to level up in this game. Too easy in my thoughts, because each game you at least level up like once or twice. Or maybe even 3 times, if you do good enough, I guess. So that I kind of miss, like in Battlefield 4, how once you get to like level 20, it takes a really long time and some skill to level up.
Now I'm indifferent to Joe's opinion on this, where I think that Titanfall hit the sweet spot of player addiction within the game, where if this is more of an arcade style game where you're really earning a lot of points very rapidly, and to keep player engagement up within a game that has not that many modes per se. I mean, there's some modes to keep you busy, but what keeps you the busiest is trying to level up. That core adrenaline that gamers get when they hit the next level and then, oh, they're so close to hitting another level. Oh, I just unlocked another package or a customization. I think that gives a nice aspect to the player, and it gives them an incentive to play more and more. And I actually quite enjoy that because I like numbers going up, and I love seeing that progress bar at the end of the game cycling forward, and it just lets me know, like, hey, I'm a pretty big badass. You know, I got this many points. So it's a nice aspect to me, but to some I can see for more the hardcore crowd that they require something more of a challenge.
Yeah, I'm hardcore. Alright, customization. I thought it was pretty weak.
Yeah, the customization wasn't as prolific as it is in some other modern FPS games. But I think that's due to just how good the weapons are in this game, in my opinion. How well balanced they are. I don't think they need all that much. I mean, the gameplay is the focus of this game, absolutely. It's not so much the customization. But, I mean, elaborate a little more why you don't really like those options.
Well, I just wish there was more that you could customize in the game, because it is made by the people who made the Call of Duty games, and in a lot of their games, there's a lot of customization that you could do with, like, skins and stuff. Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of the skins, but I wish they could add like more things that you could do in the game with your weapons, instead of having just like 3 scopes and then a couple attachments. It was kind of limited in that aspect.
And the biggest thing I wish that they had, I mean, apart from weapon customization, I wish you could at least customize the actual physical look of your Titan. That would be pretty neat. I mean, not having options to make it look ridiculous, but I mean enough to have your own unique flair on your own bot.
I want to build it like a Lego. I want to choose the head, choose the body, choose the legs. I mean, I think that would have been pretty damn cool.
And that may be something that they implement in the future. I mean, that's something that's definitely capable of doing within an update, but we'll have to see something like that.
Yeah.
So getting into burn cards, so those are similar to care packages in Call of Duty, except that you get to choose them at the beginning, or right before the match, and then you get to choose them right before your next life, and they're only good for a single life. So tell us a little more about some of your favorite burn cards, and I'll show an example of that in a few.
Alright, so some burn cards actually are really, really, really helpful in the game. Like, some of them take off time that your Titan builds, so you could like get right into the game. Right when you start, you could almost spawn in a Titan. So those help a lot, and then there's some that like amp up guns and then sidewinders and whatever else. And then there's also like
so yeah, when you die, you press the Y button and you get to choose one of these. So I'm going to choose an amped R101C. So this is one of the assault rifles that's a little more powerful and has a higher rate of fire than the original stock one.
So burn cards actually do help a lot in the game in many aspects, and then there's some that are just like, I'll never use this. But it was really another unique thing that they put in the game. I can't really name any other games off the top of my head that do that.
Yeah, it's a unique, and I think it's going to be something that's probably copied, since all great games eventually get copied by other games. I think that's going to be one of the key features that more modern FPS games will adapt.
Yeah. Alright, so now let's talk about PC versus Xbox One. I mean, it's obvious that PC is already better.
But in what way? I mean, in graphically,
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I play almost exclusively on PC. I have a monster rig, but we'll have a later episode on that. But I definitely noticed that the biggest thing is just texture quality is the biggest difference in audio quality on the PC version if you're on a high-end rig. But that will may or may not cost you more than an Xbox One or PS4. I mean, it really depends how you wager that. But there have been some glitches on the Xbox version that I've noticed that aren't within the PC version, most notably frame rate drops and some weird lag issues.
And here's an example.
And there we go. So, I mean, you may or may not be able to catch it. I mean, from YouTube, but from our perspective, I mean, we're getting some performance issues when there's a lot of action going on the screen. So let's say there's more than 3 Titans on the screen and everybody's shooting at each other. You will most definitely see some frame rate drop, and it is actually noticeable. And that's a little unfortunate. But I haven't seen anything like that on my rig. Again, it's an extremely high-end piece of machinery. But if it were up to me, I would, and if you have a high-end PC or just a PC in general, I would default to the PC version.
And I've heard a lot of people talking about falling outside of the levels somehow. I haven't seen or done any of this.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that too.
I can't really complain about that, but I've heard a lot of my buddies are really complaining about that, and just some of them actually stopped playing for a while, just because they fall out like every single game. So hopefully they already patched that, or they will patch that soon. But don't really worry about that, because I haven't really heard anything happen, and I've only heard it from a couple people. All right, so
Getting into our final verdict, right?
yeah.
So what would you rate this? I mean, your overall last thoughts, likes, no likes on the categories that we just discussed earlier.
Okay, so for the campaign, I'm just gonna say no.
Yeah, the campaigns.
No further explanation, just no. Overall. Then the gameplay, it was really good. I loved how they brought in Titans into the game, even though it's called Titanfall, so it's obviously in the game. But I just loved how you're able to use them, even though I wish you could have a secondary weapon. I thought that would have been pretty cool. But besides that, gameplay was great. Graphics were, I can't really say for PC, but graphics were decent at best for the Xbox One. Sound was absolutely amazing to me. Leveling up was decent, I guess. Same with customization. Burn cards were pretty cool with me. And then I can't say anything about PC versus Xbox because I haven't really played on the PC. So I'm just gonna say my final verdict is a I'll give it an easy 6 at most.
6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think that's decent.
Yeah.
But for me, on the categories that were discussed, campaign is definitely an area that I'd like to see explored more within this game. I think it was not necessarily a failed experiment. I think it was just an experiment in general.
Terrible.
That's like your opinion, man. But for gameplay, that's the highlight of the game. That's addicting. I love it. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. For the graphics, the Xbox One version definitely inferior to the PC version as expected if you're running a high-end rig. But on the PC version, it's definitely a good, but not next gen as whatever that's worth. It's just not the best that you would expect. And then going for sound, that was high end, very good. Let's get into leveling up. I like that as well. Customization, not so much important to me. I like to focus on the gameplay. And then getting into burn cards, those were decent. I think those were a good addition. As well as the PC versus Xbox, I think it's pretty clear that the PC definitely rules out versus the Xbox due to stability and performance perks on the PC versus the Xbox One. So I would have to give the Xbox version a 7 out of 10, but I would give the PC version an 8 out of 10. So that pretty much wraps it up for us. Make sure you like and subscribe to us. We'll come out with more videos, specifically on more PC footage of Titanfall at ultra settings on my rig. And we'll be posting more videos of cinematic video games and why we consider video games art.
They are art, by the way. All right, thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you.